What is up, people? Welcome back to my little channel. Right, so today we're going to do a little bit more on the chassis work and we're going to do some on the back end. Now, all of this stuff has been gone through it all before, so I'm just going to do a bit of a refresh on how my rear end is made up. But there is videos back in the past if you skip through my videos. So, we have got my radius arm mounts, which there's a video on them, and these are the mounts where it mounts to the chassis itself. So I'll just give you a rough chat on how this works. The first thing you have to note when you're doing stuff like this is your saw has to be square, right? So I use a little bandsaw, dial it in. It's so much easier when everything is square in every direction, yeah? So basically, this is my arm mount, and this is what it mounts to on the chassis. See? Like that kind of thing. So that is in the chassis, like this. And the way I set that up, so I get it right, is pretending this is the bottom of my chassis and this is the top, which isn't actually in there yet. This is why you want everything square, yeah? Everything's got to be square. So that's there. That sits there. Then you get your radius arm mount. Put that on there. That on there, push it down. And then put that on there and square it up. Then you know that is all true and square. If you look, we are right above my holes. I don't think you'll see them up there. Get off. Sorry, my fingernails hanging off, so. See? We are right above the holes, and that makes it nice, square and solid. So these are M10s. So you've drilled through, well, I mark everything up, drill it. I am 80 millimeters from the top, 80 millimeters down again, which drops you just underneath your radius arm. And then you flick it over, and that's a 16mm hole. I've got these little bungs. I'm yet to actually machine them. I'm just going to face them, drill them, tap them, M10, and they will get pressed in there. Just sort of start. And then this gets pressed all the way down to the inside of here. Then we get welded around what's standing up. So that way we are uber strong. Because if I just bolted that piece of flat, yeah, piece of flat bar, like flat plate. So say that, it's pretty strong. But because I'm butting it up against this box section, yeah, then this is sandwiching this, but then it's also welded to the outside. So in a way, I'm attaching it to that much material because this is joining everything up. So that becomes then a very strong fixing point. You get me? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to face these, drill them, tap them, M10, press them in, weld them round, and then we're going to start just throwing the back together. Get that done. I think I've come up with a design for this. It's going to have a piece of this coming straight back. From there, straight back to this bar. So that will be 25 by 53mm wall straight to that centre. Now that on its own is not strong enough. It probably would be strong enough, but in my eyes, that is not strong enough. Even though it probably freaking is. So what I will do then is come off the side of this, not this, side of this, brace down like I normally do, into this corner, not right to the edge, into about there. So you're spreading the load through this piece, under the tube and into this. So it's like that, yeah? And then there'll be another one coming off this side, going into around about where this weld point is. So it's got maximum load spread behind. Then what I'm going to do, I think, is I'm going to cut this top plate off here. This is a plate that's on top of this box. This box is 30mm. So what I'm tempted to do is chop the top of this plate off, then replace it with a piece of longer plate. Then I will basically do what we're doing here. Insert a big bung in this, and then drill and tap and probably have 2 fixings. So this slides like that. Yeah, and it fixes through. It can't be too long because you've got to be able to swing the subframe out to get it off. But it needs to be long enough that it's got a decent fixing. I could probably go 2 side by side. So that's sort of what I'm thinking. I'll shape the back of this box section. This angle I will replicate on the box so it fits up nice. And then I might cap the end of the box so it's a dead foot. You know what I mean? That's sort of what I'm chucking ideas around with at the minute. But anyway, let's crack on with the back end. See if we can get these radius arms on today. What is up, people? I thought I'd just do a bit of a talk as I'm going through all this stuff. You know, something a little bit different. So what I'm doing here is facing these. This is just 16mm round stock. Cold rolled, as you call it in America, or bright as we call it over here. So I'm just facing it, center punting it, and then drilling it and tapping it. That is it. Just drilling it 8.5mm, and I'm tapping it with a M10 1.25. Use decent taps. That's the biggest thing you've got to realise. Use a decent tap. You want a really nice thread in there because it's holding your back wheels on, you know what I mean? So drill them out, tap them, bish bash bosh. Very simple. I use these little collet holders. They're really good little bit of kit for when you're doing stuff like this. It just makes things so much easier when you can just repeatedly take stuff in and out. What I'm doing here is just cleaning the edge up where that sticks out the box section for the welding. So I've got a nice clean surface for welding too, because you don't want any crap in there because you're going to contaminate your weld. So get rid of it. Nice press fit on these. Nice and straight because we've done all our measurements, so we know everything's nice and square and true and straight, so we can get our bolts in nice and easily. Now I would say when you come to weld these, make sure you put a bolt in them, so you're bolting it through the way it's going to be bolted through on the car, and nip it up so when you're welding it doesn't pull in any which way or the other. Yeah, it's just a nice way of keeping everything straight. So I decided to TIG these, and I started off with a bit of rod at about 120 amps, and I realised I didn't need the rod and I didn't need 120 amps, so I just knocked it down to like 100 amps and just did a little bit of I can't remember what you call it. What do you call it now? You don't use rod. Yeah, whatever, you'll figure it out. I know what you're on about. So this is the bar that goes across the top of my suspension setup on the back on the radius arm. So each end of this has got to be notched to match the 45mm main hoop. So I cut it to length, and then I run a bit of tube on each corner, giving me my radius, and then I trim it a little bit big. I don't want to try and go bang on straight away. I try and trim everything a little bit bigger, and then just work your way down to where you actually want to be. You don't want to just try and jump straight in the hole. You want to try, you know, make sure that it's not going to be loose in the hole. So yeah, just a little bit at a time, baby steps, measure, baby steps, measure, trim, measure, trim. It does take a lot longer than if you could just get it right straight off the bat, but I just like to take my time, make sure it's right, square, true. As I say, measure 24 times, cut once. Still can't remember what it's called, you know, when you're welding with that TIG rod. It is above, I just ain't got a clue, I can't remember what it's called. This is me just boshing a bit of weld on there. You got to remember as well, if you're unsure on your welding capabilities, don't start building the space frame. All right then, let's see where we got to. So, yeah, just like that. Right, so we put these in place to hold us at our datum point. Boop. And then we got these to within a couple of mil, and they just kept slowly fettling away until we get it right, nice, square, flat, true, bish bash bosh. Then I ran some welds around the bottom, so all the cage is welded now, because we've got to lineage this down to get the doodah against the what's my name, you know, the thingy bobs. So we've fully welded this round, both sides. See, and that is welded all around the bottom as well. So that is that done. So now I also dropped some welds around the front one, but I'm not going to do the inside until the jig's out of the way. So now we've got these radius arm mounts. This is my setup. It's still yet got to have the extra gussets. So what we're going to do, these are standard rods, not the longer ones out of there. But I've put this in, and we've set this to 0 camber and 0 toe by checking it to 0 that way, 0 that way. So we know when they're in, they should stand up straight. So we can position these where this needs to be. Then this can get welded on. Then this bar will come out, the big arms will go in, and then we'll slide this back to make up the difference, if you get what I mean. So this, once we've ground those welds down, goes there. So that thing there has got to go on the back of this. Then that will give us our square datum point. Then once this one's welded in, we'll take that end off, and this will we'll just slide it out to match the new arm. Yeah, it's a very simple design that made out of strong material. And then once this is in, as we know, we come off this bar up to this bar to stop the deflection, and then we put an X in it.
I didn't get that. Could you try again?
But I'm not even talking to you, am I?
Sorry, I don't understand.
Go away. So yeah, then we'll get an X in it. And we're nearly there then. Well, once all this is all welded in. Right, let's crack on, shall we? So this is where more measurements and more measurements come into it, when you do a little bit measuring and then you measure some more. Because these arms have got to be true and square from the get-go. Because if you weld these on and there's a degree of camber set standard, it's way out. It's not going to be any good. So make sure you get it right, people. Right then, so they are on. Just had a proper echo. Right, so there we go. Something's echoing. So we have welded these on. We've got some good tacks on them. Yeah. We don't want to put anything massive. So yes, that little bit there, my welder farted. So this will get welded all the way down both sides when the chassis is on its side. Let's just try and do me a bit, yeah. So this will all get done when the chassis is on its side. So I am welding into the groove. I mean, you can get a nice downward weld. Anyone can make a downward weld look nice, but you gotta get it in there in the root. So I'll do these when the chassis is actually on its side. So it'll be nice there, and I'll flick it the other way, and I'll do all the welding on the inside, because it's gonna get welded up there and it will get welded across so it joins into this weld, and the same underneath. These are going to get fully welded once this is out of the way, so we just welded down the side of there. But we have nice, easy, full range of motion with no binding. I mean, you can just see in that video how long it takes, even though this is like my 5th chassis I've built now. It's very easy to get it wrong. Yeah? So you've got to measure. Because every chassis is slightly different, no matter what jigs you've got. Every chassis is slightly different. If you make a bar a mil too long and the one underneath is a mil too short, it's only a mil, but then they've got a 2 mil difference. So every chassis is slightly different. So take your time in your measuring, in your squaring, getting everything parallel and true, and then you end up with a nice motion. And it's the same on the other side, which will pop around. Okay. Oops, sorry. No binding. We're all ready. Just got tack on there, down there, down there. So this one will get the same welded all the way down, round, blah, 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 blah. So yeah, we've got radius arms on. They are on the car. There's still a lot to do, but if anybody else just wants to know, because that is for my space frame, my van, there is your 3.5 inches extra in length. Yeah, so that is it in a van chassis. Some say it's 4, I say it's 3.5. But the way my solid axle is made, that's the minimum distance from there to there. I can actually go another 2 inches past if I need to, with an inch on each rose joint, if you know what I mean. Right, so we've got radius arms on the car. So the next job will be bracing to here, I think. Or should we do these top ones? Might do the top ones, might do the down ones. And we need to work out where I'm going to put the down ones. I'll probably come down to here. Because normally I'll go down to about there, but this is there because it's further. So I'll probably come down from this corner, straight down as I can. Yeah? And then we'll figure it out from there. Right, radius arms. Another job off the list. Well, not quite finished, but yeah. Right, thanks for watching. I hope you like it, and I'll catch you tomorrow, because I have been in here now 9.5 hours. So I'm going to go in and relax for a little bit. See you later, people.